Alrighty. Welcome to the live. This time it's more about these hair relaxer lawsuits going back to the motherland. And look, in this video, in this live, yes, I'm going to continue to talk about the hair relaxer lawsuits, but I want to talk about the expansion of some of these products to other places across the globe. Now, most of my viewers are located right here in the United States, but there are a few that are located in other places. And a lot of us here have heard about the multi-district litigation that's occurring in all of the states across the US, all of the women, the parties who have filed lawsuits stating that they've been harmed by the chemicals in hair relaxers. So yes, there is some awareness here. However, the opportunity for personal care products and services really is now beyond just the US. The rest of the world is open for this. And I'm going to dig down into some of this in this particular live episode, this live stream, because it's no longer just the US that is seen as one of these places where you can really, sell these products, especially to women, because women are the ones buying a lot of these products, but other countries too. Developing countries are now being targeted. And actually, I shouldn't even use the word now because they've been targeted for a long time. And I'm going to share with you some information about what's been going on with L'Oreal in particular, the expansion that they've been doing, especially into African countries, and what that looks like, and also how just in the last month, a Kenyan politician stepped forward, and there has been this petition to now look into this in Kenya. They are now starting to get concerned. They are hearing some of what is going on in the US. And let me back up too, because like I said before, there's some other countries that have been a little bit more progressive in terms of saying we're going to ban some of these chemicals that are being used. And the United States is, kind of thinking about it in terms of what the FDA is going to do. And then, of course, we also have all of these lawsuits, these thousands of women who have filed lawsuits, and they are from all across the country. The first thing I want to talk about, though, is I want to highlight some background information in regards to beauty and care products, because I think sometimes we forget, like we know we're buying stuff for our hair, we're buying body scrubs and deodorants and special products for our feet and our nails, makeup. We're doing all of this stuff. And I want to give you the number that comes from Statista about how much money, how much money the beauty and personal care market worldwide is projected to generate this year, 2024. If you can guess, if you can guess, if you can guess, if you think you have an idea of what the number is, put it in the chat, put it in the comments, drop it in there what you think that number is. But I'm going to tell you, I think you're going to be off by a lot, because the number that they are reporting is that sales are expected to hit $646 billion. $646 billion. This market has been growing for a while. Now, they actually provided a chart that showed the trend going upward in terms of increased revenue. And there was one dip that took place. And let me tell you what years this is, because I think you can figure out why there was a dip. So you had 2018, 2019, then you had this dip in 2020. Then back up in 2021, 22, 23, 24, and it's projected to increase through 2028. And what do you think that dip was? That dip was back during what? During 2020, when we were all sitting at home and we didn't have to worry so much about going out into the world and having our nails and hair looking fresh every single day, every hour of the day. We didn't feel like we had to meet that sort of standard because we weren't really working like that. A lot of us were working remotely. And so we saw this dip in 2020. But since then, it's been going up. And so, like I said, it's projected to be over $640 billion this year. Here are a few things that have been driving this. Okay. So, first is just economic growth. All right. But here's a surprising one that I think we sometimes forget about. And I don't think people realize the impact of this. But another item that has been a driver of growth of this projected revenue is the increasing number of beauty influencers. And people are now finding people online. They like what they see with their nails. They like what they see with their hair. They like what they see with their skincare, with their makeup, with their bodies. And they say, hey, I'm going to start following this person. And as this person shares valuable information about products and services, they say, oh, okay, well, let me see what she's pushing because her skin actually looks good. Her hair actually looks healthy. I'm going to follow this person now. And when they recommend products, guess what? I'm going to go buy them. So this is driving it too. Another thing that's driving all of these sales, the growth of e-commerce. Well, now you don't have to get up and go to the mall, right? You don't have to get in your car, drive across town through traffic when you could be doing other things. It's like, well, I already know what I want to get because my favorite beauty influencer has already done a review on it. I like the way it worked with her. Plus, now look, I've got some sort of coupon or discount code I can use. Yes, they happen to be an affiliate, but they're going to share some of that discount with me. And now I can just order it. I don't even have to go anywhere. I don't have to go anywhere. I can watch it get delivered by Amazon or whoever right on to my front doorstep or porch, dropped right into my mailbox. I don't have to go anywhere. And then the other reason that's a big driver of this increase in revenues worldwide is the impact of inflation. Yeah, they just increased the price. They said, okay, so if we increase the price by 5%, that will increase our revenue by, oh, look at that. So, yes, so these three things have been big drivers: increasing number of beauty influencers, the growth in e-commerce, and then the impact of inflation. And then let me tell you what's been dampening that a little bit: rising concern about chemical ingredients. And then we also had the Russia-Ukraine war. But rising concern about chemical ingredients, that was a whole factor in and of itself. So yes, so this does seem to be a concern. And like I said, not just in the US here, but I'm going to get to what is going on in Kenya. So that's what we have with Statista if you go to their website. But I want to also just mention briefly some information that has come out from the examination.org's website. One of the things they have talked about is the actual decline in relaxer and perm sales. Okay, so even though everything else is going up, those sales have been going down. And what they actually say is in the United States, relaxer and perm sales declined by about 9% between 2017 and 2022. Sales of relaxers will probably continue to dip, according to Caro Bush, a research analyst for market research firm Euromonitor. And so a lot of that has to do with people changing and saying, hey, I'm just going to go with my natural hair. I'm not going to use chemicals anymore. Other people having concerns about the chemicals that are in relaxers and perms, these products. Yeah, we get the box, we look at it, we read the labels, we see the chemicals, but we don't know what they do. We don't necessarily know what the long-term consequences are going to be. So, yes, so that is what's going on in the industry. So now I want to give this sort of overview of what is going on with the expansion of L'Oreal. And this is not anything new, okay? Companies expand all the time. If you find that other people are interested in using your product or your service, hey, you've found a gap. Well, it's a good thing for you to step in there if people are needing that product or service. The idea, though, is that you want to provide something that has value and is not harmful to people. Okay. So that number two, that would be a big deal. But let's take a look at some of this that's been reported. And this is over time. So, this was an article that was in Forbes. L'Oreal Africa can be an important market to help achieve its $2 billion user base target. And this was part one. And as you know, Forbes is a company that looks at, I would call it a media company. I mean, a lot of these places used to have magazines, now they're online, really looks at the financial side of things. Okay. And look at how old this is. This is 2014. So this is not anything new. 10 years ago, even before that, they had started investing and saying, wait, we see a potential market there. And if we are an early participant in that market, then that enables us to go ahead and get established, and we can start to build our market share before some of these other companies to come over here and try to expand into some of these African countries too. So it says here, French beauty giant L'Oreal aims to add 1 billion new customers by 2020 so as to double its existing user base. The majority of the growth is expected to come from emerging nations like Asia, Africa, and Latin America. We believe Africa will play a pivotal role in L'Oreal's expansion plan. And you can see, like I said before, companies look and they say, well, where's a need? Where is an opportunity? And so L'Oreal is no different from any other company in this respect. So here's the next piece I want to point out. This bullet here, you can see in 2012 the African economy and they have the size there, and it's expected to grow. But look at the bottom bullet there where it says the middle class population. L'Oreal's major clientele in Africa, of sub-Saharan Africa, is 300 million strong, comprising of 34% of its total population. The number is estimated to reach 1 billion by 2060. Who wouldn't want to be a part of that and say, okay, here's where my clientele is. I want to go after them. I mean, you're like not a good business person if you're not recognizing where your clients are and then saying, hey, let me jump over here and start to provide them with some of the products that they want or need. It says L'Oreal, this is the journey so far. So this is what I mean. They've been at this for a while. L'Oreal is strategically expanding its presence in Africa with a focus on countries like Kenya, Egypt, South Africa, and Nigeria. And let me say this too, because for a long time, it was, hey, we felt like we were being left out of some of these brands, not, taking time to say, let's make products that actually match the skin color of those with darker complexions, darker hues. Everybody's not pink. So it took a while for these companies to even be willing to make products for people of color. And so we had a lot of Black businesses that were doing this first. So before L'Oreal, came to us and said, hey, we can do, there were companies already out there. And as we know, L'Oreal then stepped up and started buying some of those. But let's go back. It says in 2013, L'Oreal had 3 branch openings in Nigeria, Kenya, and Ghana, and a new plant opening in Egypt. I'm telling you, spending money. L'Oreal's presence spread to Egypt, Nigeria, Morocco, Ghana, Ethiopia, and Tanzania over the last 5 years. It is building its presence in Uganda currently. There is great potential for growth in these countries. Y'all know that growth means money, right? There's great potential for money in these countries, as cosmetics consumption is still 10 to 20 times lower than the developed countries. L'Oreal underlined its growing focus on the region by creating a new position, head of the Africa Middle East zone, in 2013. So we're talking 11 years ago. 11 years ago, they said, wait, there are other places besides the US and Canada and Europe that we can be reaching out to that have money. Growth equals money if we do it right. And that's where they were going. It says L'Oreal already commanded a dominant position in Africa's hair care segment with its brand Dark and Lovely. Okay. It acquired that. Yes, it had that. But it says here, here's and I think I said this before in another video. When you can't when you can't make it on your own, then you just go buy it, right? It acquired the local skincare leader Interconsumer Products in April 2013 to establish dominance in the skincare segment as well. All right. So they took a company that was already doing some things and said, "Well, we'll just go buy them. We'll acquire them, whatever that looked like." The acquisition is strategically important because of several reasons. L'Oreal's access to an R&D center already dedicated to sub-Saharan beauty requirements would strengthen its future product development initiatives catering to this region. And L'Oreal's market penetration will be enhanced with ICP's manufacturing plant in Kenya and a distribution network in growing East African economies. Finally, the acquisition expanded L'Oreal's portfolio of offerings to these emerging geographies. Again, it's about growing your base, getting in there early. What they say, to establish dominance, and to go ahead and strengthen its future product development initiatives. Talks about, look at that, L'Oreal's market penetration will be enhanced because they purchased or acquired Interconsumer Products. So that enables them to just go ahead and walk right in there. It's like, hey, we're here. And again, they've got this center. This came out in 2016. It's coming out of Johannesburg. L'Oreal accelerates product development for sub-Saharan Africa thanks to new research and innovation center. Again, this expansion, like I said before, we want to be open to other companies saying, yes, we do want to reach out to people of color. Yes, we do want to provide products and services to people of color. This is not a bad thing. It's a good thing as long as you're not providing harmful products. And right now, that is something that's being questioned. What is in these products? Do these products cause harm? All right, so then there was this one, and I know this is so tiny down here at the bottom. This was coming out of WRC, and I'm not even sure who this is, but this goes even further back to 2011, and it says L'Oreal has been doing business in South Africa, where it runs an R&D center since 1963. So, like I said before, they've been there, and then over time they looked at how they were expanding into the market there. It says the organization's new priorities in Africa are the hair care, body care, and deodorant categories, led by its L'Oreal Paris, Garnier, and Soft Sheen Carson businesses. All right, so that would be those products that people like us use. So again, it's back to the money, because that's what a company is here for. A company, is supposed to be trying to increase shareholder value, and you do that by increasing the value of the company and making money for the shareholders. It says, here's why, and this was from Culture Banks. You can see down there, tiny at the bottom, but that's where this article is coming from. The links are all here for you if you want to read these articles for yourself. Here's why L'Oreal is backing African scientists in the $11 billion beauty market, and they just call it the beauty market. Remember, when I was referring to the Statista information, it was a little bit broader than just beauty, but called it more personal care market there. So here's what I want you to take away from this one, all right? Situational awareness. It says brands need to take a page out of Rihanna's Fenty playbook. She released 40 shades, and the darker ones were the first to sell out, showing a great need in this market. Riri's Fenty makeup also went on to make a reported $100 million in the first 40 days and nearly $600 million in the first year. So, I mean, that's a $500 million right there. We said, what's this? But that's been a while. That's been a while too. So I mean, that gives us a lot of insight into this. But here's the last piece that I want to talk about. And this is what I said just came out in the last month, May, a little over a month ago, May 10th, 2024. And this is being reported by Cosmetics Business. So, again, there's the link there if you want to go to the website to read the article. The article is very short. I'm definitely going to try to see if I can find additional information on this because I think this is helpful to know. But it says Kenyan Senate probes L'Oreal products. And it says the inquiry follows a petition by the country's Senator Mohammed Shute calling for investigations into hair relaxers and bleaching products. Some of the same things that we've been talking about here in the US. It goes on to say Kenya's Senate has opened an inquiry into the alleged sale of, quote, harmful L'Oreal beauty products. The move follows a petition by Senator Mohammed Sheikh to the Senate Committee, excuse me, of Health, calling for investigations into the sale of harmful hair relaxers and bleaching substances by the company. So all of this scrutiny is really falling on L'Oreal. I'm sure, there are other companies out there too. I did see another company mentioned in relationship to this, but L'Oreal seems to be the name that everybody's sort of reaching out to first. And part of that may have something to do with the fact that it has sort of held itself out there to be one of these companies, even though it's sort of a drugstore brand, it held itself out to sort of be like at the top tier of the drugstore brand. And so, when you start thinking about what's your better product when you go into the drugstore as opposed to going to someplace like Sephora, what are we looking at? What brands do we think we can count on? And this is not to say that all drugstore brands are bad or that they're not as good as brands that are in Sephora, because you can find some of the same brands in both. Yes, you can. But I think there has been a perception that was cultivated by L'Oreal that we have a really good product and we test our product and we conduct research on our product and we put products out there that are not going to harm you. And that is why, I think people have sort of said, well, hey, L'Oreal, like we're just going to let you be the face of this litigation right now. And if you go to the initial complaint and you go back and take a look at it, and you take a look at the complaint that people can file, the short form complaint, you see the list of all the products. And I have to sneeze. All righty there. Well, there went all of my brain cells and thoughts and anything that had anything to do with this. Let me see if I can scroll back up here to comments. So, yeah. So L'Oreal, for, it's like, oh, well, it's French and it's European. And they kind of put themselves out there to be something fancy. And okay, we want fancy, but we also want something that's not going to hurt us. Now, one of the comments that I've heard from people when, one of these sites that I should not expect decent comments from, but they sit back and say, well, hey, on the box, it says, may cause hair loss, may cause hair breakage, may cause scalp burns. And if you've done, if you've used box relaxers before, then hey, let me put down a base before I put this relaxer on my hair. Let me either use some spray oil, let me use some petroleum jelly, let me go ahead and, on my scalp before I put the relaxer on. Because that some of the relaxers, especially those that are harsher, will burn your scalp. And after a day or two, you will find that there's a scab up there, and eventually it will heal and the scab will come off. But still, nobody has the expectation that when they're using this, that there's also this double increase in likelihood of possibly getting uterine cancer. And that has been the thing that has sort of thrown everybody off. This study that has said, hey, the sister study that said, hey, it looks like what's happening here is women who are using these products have a double or two times their likelihood of uterine cancer in comparison to those who do not. So that's the concern. There is nothing on the box really that gives you this sort of warning that says to you, hey, right now, people are concerned that there might be this. So if you're not paying attention in the news media, on social media, also, then you may not be aware of this. And if you're in another country where they really haven't been talking about this, where these products are just really starting to really get out into the communities there, then how do you say that you're giving people the opportunity to make an informed decision about whether or not to purchase a product when you're not sharing information with them that they might use in their decision making process? Like, I would want to know. Then I get to at least make a little bit more informed decision. I get to say, okay, well, there's been this study and it says that there, might be this link here and there's a correlation. They're not entirely sure that it's causation, but now you can at least sort of think it through, as opposed to you picking up the box and reading through the yes, you want to do a test. Yes, you want to make sure you don't go any longer than the timed period of time that you're supposed to use for your hair. Yes, if it's color treated this, yes, if it's damaged that. Yeah. So you already know about all of those things. A lot of that information is provided. But some of this other stuff, yeah, it's kind of like other consumer products that are out there, or just other products in general that a manufacturer places in the marketplace, i.e. cigarettes, that it took the government going after them before they actually would put something on the product that says, hey, you know, there's a problem with this product. It has nicotine, it has this, and it may cause cancer. It may cause lung cancer. So sometimes you have to have the government step in. Sometimes you have to have attorneys and people who have gone through something step up when the government has not. So the government is looking at banning formaldehyde. I don't know where that is right now. I'm going to look at that in another video. But still, you have this expansion that's been going on for decades now into African countries. And the question is, do the women who are buying these products know that there is a concern regarding some of the chemicals in these products? Do they know? And should L'Oreal be telling them when they're putting these products out there? All right, so that wraps this up. Let me know your thoughts on this. Yes, going back to the motherland, they're over there expanding to wherever they can. I appreciate you checking this out and sticking with me. And I'll have a few more videos on this, a few more lives. I'm going to try to do more lives in the next week or so on this. So don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you learned a few things about how this expansion is taking place and the changes going on in terms of the industry. And peace.